What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday night Q&A hangout. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. NFL news is, like, for the Chiefs, I guess, kind of slow, but like NFL-wide, there's a lot going on. There was some extensions today. There was a trade. There's a couple guys getting released, and every team right now is just gearing up for free agency frenzy that starts next week. A lot of the conversations have been started with agents and all this stuff between, so you got agents, you've got GMs, coaches, like everybody who was at the scouting combine last week. They had conversations. Maybe they were unofficial, informal, over coffee or something, but the process has been started. Now we know, hey, there's some movement. We now know a couple teams that have been freeing up cap space to get over the cap, or under the cap rather, which the Chiefs are going to have to do here soon. They are technically over the cap with the Trey Smith franchise tag that a lot of people were surprised about. Didn't really see the franchise tag coming for Trey Smith. And the reports are basically, hey, this must indicate that they are very close on a long-term deal. I mean, we shall see. But next week is going to be crazy, because that's when the new league year starts, and that's when all the deals can officially happen. We'll start seeing the Chiefs sign some guys. You'll see trades happen. You'll see a bunch of stuff go on and go down over the next, starting next week, over the course of a few days. So that's exciting. It's right around the corner. That's why I said, hey, Chiefs are going to make some moves soon. Every team's going to make some moves soon. Free agency frenzy. It's going to happen. The question is, what are they going to do? Who are they bringing back? You got a lot of free agents. I think 25 free agents. You've got a lot of guys to decide between, hey, we're going to bring you back, or we'd love to bring you back. It takes two to tango. Some are going to test the market. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys end up doing and what the Chiefs end up doing. Let's see. What's up? Daniel Tarlock in here. Yeah, prayers up for the power not to go out. Yeah, so there's like a blizzard warning, high wind warning right now. There's wind gusts that are supposed to happen tonight between 50 and 70 miles an hour. So yeah, if the power goes out, it's because of storms, but it shouldn't, I hope. Hopefully it does not. But if you didn't earlier, I dropped a conversation, an interview with Garrett of Football Analysis, and we talked a lot around the draft. Round 1 of the NFL draft. Round 2, what the Chiefs could be doing. It was mainly Chiefs-centric questions. We didn't do a mock draft, none of that. But we did talk about Chiefs draft needs. If you want to check that out after this live stream, that is already up and available. I just dropped it this evening. What's up, Kat? What's up, Meg? Wesley, can you explain the point in the tag if they are close to a deal? Yeah, so it allows a couple things to happen that are in favor for the team. You can't negotiate with anybody else because you're tagged. You're either going to get a long-term deal done, or you've got to sign the franchise tag and play on that one-year deal. So this is the Chiefs saying, hey, you're not going anywhere. You're either going to stay with us or you are going to stay with us. I mean, he could hold out, but I think he would probably prefer, he's a 6th-round draft pick. I think he would probably prefer to make $23 million this year. That sounds pretty freaking good. So the point in the tag is it just guarantees that he's going to stay with the Chiefs this year. And yeah, it's a little weird when you franchise tag with somebody this close to free agency frenzy starting in the new league year. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm like stuttering and sputtering and glitching. I'm like, okay, if you're that close to a deal, that's what the reports are, right? It's indicative of how close they are to a long-term deal, said Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. This was his initial tweet last week. But I get what you're saying, because like if you're that close to a deal with Trey Smith, why do you actually have to franchise tag him? You know, ultimately, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the franchise tag, but the Chiefs did exercise that, so he can either sign it, he has till July 15th to sign it, or get a long-term deal done. Hopefully this helps them work things out, and maybe they just needed a couple more weeks, a few more weeks. Like maybe they were close, but they're like, hey, we've got a lot on our plate here with everything going on. It sounds like you want to stay here. We want you to stay here. Let's go ahead and tag you. We'll get that just squared away for now, and then we will revisit these talks and keep the long-term contract conversations going. That's hopefully what it means. I mean, it could mean a tag and trade. I don't know how much teams are going to want to give up for Trey Smith, as far as like you not only now have to extend him, but give up draft capital to go and get him. I think you could get something. He was the number 2, number 3 free agent that was pending free agent that was going to potentially hit the market. Well, now teams are like, well, shoot, we were kind of hoping we'd be able to negotiate with him and his agent and sign him long-term. The Vikings would have been interested. There's a bunch of teams. The Texans need interior O-line help. There's a bunch of teams that need quality interior O-line help. But yeah, the Chiefs are just saying, hey, you're our guy. We want you to stay here. And that's just what it's looking like right now. We'll see what ends up happening. Hopefully it's a long-term deal. The cap hits, the larger cap hits wouldn't be till later on in his contract. If it's a tag and trade, that is an option. All the reports were saying that they're very close on a deal. And those are really the only couple scenarios that could play out from here. Supercars of Wichita with the 5-bomb said, I haven't made it to a stream since I saw you on Tom Grossi. Hope you're doing well. How about those feet? Oh, man. Yeah, we raised a couple $1,000 thanks to the Grossi posse and everybody watching when I interviewed with Tom for he raised $1 million for charity. And I said, yeah, if we get 2,000 during my interview, I guess I'll show my feet. That's like a thing that like he does and all of his guests were doing. So I was like, I'm not going to be the odd man out. We'll do it. We'll do it for charity. And yeah, I'm glad he hit that $1 million mark. That was freaking awesome. Good to see you, Supercars. I appreciate you. I don't want to screen share. I want to switch angles because I want to look at this side for a second here. Let me do this. We had better get Simmons. Yeah, I mean, Josh Simmons is a possibility in round 1, the offensive tackle. We shall see. I've kind of talked a lot about the offensive tackles that the Chiefs could be looking at. A lot of them have short arms. So will the Chiefs go against the grain and get a guy that has sub 35-inch arms? They don't really like to do that. Josh Simmons has like 33-inch arms. So they're definitely shorter. A lot of people are saying, hey, these tackles, a lot of them are going to most likely end up being interior linemen. Andrew Wiley had 33-something-inch arms, and he ended up being the Chiefs' right tackle for a couple of years. Now, the Chiefs didn't draft him, but some people can surpass the issues, quote-unquote issues, of shorter arms with other traits that they have and be serviceable tackles in the NFL. It's not unheard of. It is more rare. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what the Chiefs end up doing. There is let me see. There is a tackle, is it Dan Moore Jr., I believe, that is slated to hit the market. He's an option. Dan Moore Jr., he's 26 years old. He's going to be a free agent. And he was with the Steelers. He was like a 4th-round pick, had a better year this past year. He's an option. I mean, the thing about somebody like Dan Moore Jr., he's not elite, okay? He's not going to be top of the market money. You're probably going to get a deal done with him for half of top of market money. So maybe 12 to 15 million a year as opposed to 25, 27 million a year. So he is definitely a guy to watch in free agency. And if the Chiefs end up getting a deal done with him, that kind of says, well, hey, you don't have to get an offensive tackle early because you're going to have him on a 2-3 year deal. We'll see. There's issues there. I'm going to talk about it in tomorrow's video. He gave up a lot of pressures. He gave up 10 plus sacks. Part of the problem was he was blocking for Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson is a sack magnet. I mean, it's awful sometimes. But yeah, we got to keep that in mind as well. Missouri Sports Network with the Red Beard tiered membership. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Hannah with the 5. Cole, I am told Trey Smith contract is very near. Expect announcement by 3/10, along with several moves that open more cap before legal tampering period. If that's the case, that is the best case scenario. If the Chiefs and Trey Smith get a deal done before free agency frenzy and all that goes down, because if you can get the deal done, it basically rips up the tag. It's null. It's void. It doesn't matter anymore. And that would remove his $23 million cap hit. There's still going to be a cap hit, but I don't think it's going to be near $23 million. So it's going to be able to free up cap space for the Kansas City Chiefs to make moves. You also have to be cap compliant. I believe it's by 3-4 Eastern on the day of the new league year, which is March 12th. You have to be under the cap. Well, they're over the cap right now, so you've got to have some moves to free up cap space. Some teams are just straight up releasing people, and you're using that as a way to free up cap space. But the Chiefs can restructure Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, that's probably incoming. I mean, Joe Thuney could get extended. I mean, there's definitely a few moves that they could do to free up cap space, and you're probably going to have to do that. But let's go, Hannah. If you are being told that the Trey Smith contract's very near, like, that's great news. That's what you hope for. That's what you, in this situation, like, you don't want it to drag on for months and to tie up that high cap hit, that 23 point whatever million dollar cap hit on the tag. You want the deal to get done. Then you don't have to worry about it. Ghost with the 19 months. Bad news. Your voice not sounding good and it has been this way since last Sunday. That's not good, but it's getting better every day. Oh, let's go. Heck yeah. You got to go to Vegas, baby. Happy 19 months, dude. Let's go. With the Redbeard tier membership for 19 months. Come on now. It's a long-term deal similar to Creed with a low cap hit in 2025. That's what you want. That's what you want because, like, with the O-line, the Chiefs are going to be able to move on from Jawan Taylor next year. He has a $26 million cap hit this year. If you can extend not Creed, he's already extended. If you can extend Joe Thuney, rather, that's going to lower his cap hit as well. If you don't, and you just say, we're going to eat his $26 million cap hit and we move on from him next year, then you're saying, well, you're going to backfill his spot with a rookie, most likely, and then we'll see what they do about the right tackle spot too. Then when Creed and Trey Smith's contracts start to bloom a little bit, maybe they get a left tackle deal done too. Like, you're going to have to worry about that also. We'll see. Not all. A lot of answers. Like, we're going to find out a lot of things here in the next couple of weeks, which I'm very excited about. Valerie with a 10, looking forward to making great moves this offseason. Hey there. Hey, the Chiefs fans. What's up, Valerie? Thanks so much for the 10 bomb and the kind words. 4-year deal, Trey Smith worth up to $92 million. Love that. Love that. Meg with the question. Hubby told me his source told him that the Chiefs are moving on from Pacheco this year. I mean, I just saw a report that the Chiefs, as of right now, don't plan on extending Isaiah Pacheco. They want to wait and see how this year looks before making a decision. And some people don't like that, but I get it. It's business. People want their the Chiefs draft picks to always be able to stay around, but you just can't. He didn't look right after coming back from injury, but again, let's see how he plays out this year. He's going to be further removed from the surgery, a full offseason under his belt, all rehabbed through. I mean, he was cleared for football in the season, and he came back. He just didn't look right. Let's just see how he plays this year. If he balls out, like, that's awesome. Maybe you can extend him and bring him back. But yeah, they're not going to worry about that right now at this point in time. So I'm fine with that. And it is unfortunate. You just can't pay everybody. You just can't do it. I mean, you can pay who you really want to stay, but like Nate Taylor said, the expectation is, as of right now, Justin Reed won't be brought back on another deal. That's what they did with Tyrann Mathieu. They make these decisions that we don't all love, but you have to do that. Can't pay everybody. It's impossible. Mark said, I want Aaron Jones. He'd be an awesome addition to rebuild this offense. Yeah, Aaron Jones is going to be a free agent as well. I think he signed let me look at the deal he signed last offseason. It was a 1-year, $7 million contract that he signed with the Vikings. Now, he's going to be 31 years old, okay? But I don't know if he would be as expensive as he was last year. It's another thing where it's another running back over the age of 30. Now, he had a good season last year, so I don't want to downplay that, even though the age makes me a little bit nervous. I mean, last year, Aaron Jones still had 1,100 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns and an additional 500 receiving yards and 2 more touchdowns. So honestly, I might want to take back what I just said, because he might be getting even more than that for a couple different reasons. He signed a 1-year, $7 million contract. The running back market is wild right now. We saw what happened with Saquon Barkley today. He got an extension from the Eagles and is now making over $20 million per year. Saquon Barkley is what, 26? Saquon, and the best running back in the entire NFL. He's 28. He's actually 28, a little bit older. I think the running back market's going to be an interesting one where, like, I don't remember who said that. It was Connor or Mark. Somebody said, you want Aaron Jones. Like, I love the idea. But if the Chiefs have to choose between drafting a running back in like the 3rd round or signing Aaron Jones to a $1 to $2 million deal worth $10-ish million per year, I just don't know that they're going to do that. I'm not saying I wouldn't like it, but you just look at the Chiefs and it's just like, do they pay running backs? No. Should they? Probably. I would love more of a dual threat offense in the sense of like, just somebody back there who actually scares defenses. It's going to help open up the pass game. Holy smokes. My dude Briggins. Been in the hospital 7 days waiting for my organs to get less inflamed. And praise God, I was given the thumbs up for surgery today. Doing great now. Watching your videos has helped distract from the pain at times. Thank you, Cole. Which KC barbecue is the GOAT? Well, first of all, thank you so much for the 50 bomb. And the fact that you would do that in the midst of everything you got going on, you did not have to do that, but I really appreciate it. I'm glad to hear you're doing better. The inflammation's going down and all that. Like, let's go. Love to hear that. Which barbecue is the GOAT? KC barbecue in particular. Man, I don't know. I love Joe's. Joe's is really good. Gates is fun. It's probably not like the best barbecue in the city, but it is a very Kansas City, authentic Kansas City experience. Some people love Jack Stack. Q39 is coming to Lee Summit, guys. I don't know if you know that. If you live in the Lee Summit area, let's go. Those are some good ones. I mean, there's others that people will fight you about. Some people love Arthur Bryant's. There's Big T's. There's LC's. Like there's a lot. I would probably go with Joe's. That's probably my favorite. Gates is kind of dry. Yeah, it's more. Gates is more of like fast food barbecue. It's like it's a little bit different of an experience. Tyler said Cap Hill this year. I mean, I don't think Cap Hill is like the Saints, other teams who are way in the negative, especially if you can get a deal done with Trey Smith. You're going to restructure Mahomes. That's going to free up cap space. You could maybe do something with Kelsey. Even it would add a couple void years to the end of his contract, but there's things that the Chiefs can do for sure. Let's see how it plays out. I wouldn't say Cap Hill. Not yet. Cap Hill's like the Saints, man. Go look at that. Crazy. Way too much for the O-line. Well, if you just got to look at it like a couple years ahead. Jawan Taylor will be gone after this season. Who knows about Joe Thuney? They're basically saying, hey, Trey Smith is our guard of the future, like Joe Thuney was in years past. Well, Joe Thuney's 33. He's still performing and playing at a high level. If they extend him for a couple more years with an out after 2, like I would love it if you keep Joe Thuney around. Like, but we'll just have to wait and see. It is a lot this year right now. They have the most cap space, I think, tied into the O-line, but that's including Trey Smith's cap hit, and it's going to change once he gets a long-term deal done. I was reading Allie's comment, said Saints are the ones in, Cap Hill. Yeah, 100%. Xander, let's go, dude. Isaiah Pacheco can be a dual threat if the Chiefs run the ball more. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, hey, I would love to see how Isaiah Pacheco does this year as he bounces back. You still need to add to the room. Hopefully they draft somebody. You know, we've been talking a little bit about running backs. I was asking on Twitter, hey, who are some of your guys' favorite running backs today? We had some Omarion Hamptons, Travion Henderson. Some people like Dylan Sampson. Like I was intrigued by Dylan Sampson quite a bit, actually. Others, you had Devin Neal. Scattaboo is Cam Scattaboo. Some people were saying his name. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Of course, everybody loves Ashton Genty, but he's not going to be there for the Chiefs. This is a deep running back class, so I would love to see them add a running back because regardless, you have Kareem Hunt, free agent, P. Ryan, free agent, Isaiah Pacheco on the last year of his deal. Like, I'd love to see them draft somebody and then maybe even bring back a vet in some capacity. Is that a heavier hit like Aaron Jones? I don't know. Could it be Pirine again? I was kind of fine with Pirine as a third down back. I mean, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments, what you thought of Pirine, but I thought by the end of the season, especially in that back half, he was developing some pretty fun rapport with Patrick Mahomes, and he had only been here. This was his first season here. Restructuring Jones and Mahomes will make it really tough in a few years. Well, they're going to redo Mahomes' contract, I think reportedly after the 2026 NFL season. It could be earlier than that, I guess, but yeah, they're going to redo Mahomes' deal. You just have to deal with some of that a little bit down the road. But yeah, they'll definitely redo Mahomes' deal. Do you realistically seeing us getting one of the OSU running backs maybe in the second round? So you're saying either Quinn... Oh, this is another name. Thank you for reminding me. Quinshon Judkins. A lot of people were high on him. And that's one of the two backs that you're talking about. Travion Henderson or Judkins. Yeah, I don't know. I have begun some of my prep. The problem is when you start getting past like the first few running backs, Genty, Hampton, some maybe have Caleb Johnson up there, Henderson. Like, I just don't know exactly where all these guys are going to go because I'm not much past the first round. But and then I don't know how early the Chiefs would be comfortable with drafting a running back, especially when the class is just so deep. Brett Veach was even talking about how much value you can find in the later rounds when you've got a deep class. And this was when he was asked about running backs. Yeah, Pirine is a good get. Somebody said Caleb Johnson. Yeah, I mean, he might be a little bit of a later... Would he be a little bit later round guy? I don't know where he's slotted to go. No, he's like RB3. Never mind on some people's draft class. My bad. Yeah, I just said him. Yeah, he's up there. He just depends on where you're looking, but some people view him a little bit higher than others. I haven't seen him in a lot of mocks go round one per se. Larry Johnson. Okay, that sounds good to me. I'll take Larry Johnson. Best draft, best available, no matter what. Yeah, I think there's an extent of that for sure, Wesley. Like, that's why they got Jaden Hicks. I don't know that we thought they were going to draft Jaden or a safety that early or where they did, but he was the best safety on Dane Brugler's draft board, and you got him in the 4th round. I think when you get these picks that are these players who are too good to pass up on, you're definitely going to take them. But at the same time, you do have needs. Now, you don't want to go into the draft desperate, so you overreach or do something stupid, but they're going to go into the draft after filling some needs in free agency where, yeah, they'll be like, okay, we want to take the best player available, but we're also going to need to come out of this draft most likely with maybe a linebacker if Nick Bolton isn't back. I mean, a running back would be nice. A tackle potentially would be nice. D-line help, we need a little bit of that too. So I think it's like a mix of both for sure. Spags won't draft a speed rusher unless he's a hybrid. Yeah, you're probably right. Jack Stack Crown Prime Rib is a short rib and is on point. I do like Jack Stack. My wife likes Jack Stack a lot. We go there because like it's really good sides. All the kids will eat it. They have Tank 7 on draft. Let's freaking go. And then of course they got great meat too. Do you realistically see? Okay, I did read that. If Luther Burden falls, take him. I've seen a lot of people talking about him recently. It's a wide receiver that could be available out of MU late in the first. I mean, some of the recent draft boards have him falling out of the first round. And some people are saying that, hey, if he's available, take him. You know, I think if it was between a wide receiver you were potentially high on or maybe a defensive lineman that you were high on, especially like if a Minihue doesn't come back, you've got multiple defensive tackles that are free agents. If Turk Wharton signs elsewhere in free agency, which could very well happen because he's been playing some really good football, it just depends on what you want to do. The wide receiver room, like I'm always a fan of like, hey, keep adding talent for Patrick Mahomes. Kelsey's not going to be around most likely after this season. And yeah, maybe you're not funneling most of your production in future years through a tight end once Kelsey hangs it up. Like, hopefully Noah Gray steps up. Love to see what happens with Jared Wiley. Maybe you get another tight end here soon. If it's not this draft, maybe it's in 2026. But yeah, I don't mind adding talent of other skilled positions, wide receiver, even if it's another. They've invested. Rice was a second. Sky was a second that didn't pan out, and then Worthy was a first. But if you want to get another wideout in the first or second round, like, I do not mind it at all, because yeah, outside of Worthy and Rice, the wide receiver room, there's not much there. I mean, you've got Nico Remigio, the UDFA, the returner, but you got 5 guys that are pending free agents. I've mentioned this multiple times. Let me see if I can just rattle them off. Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, and Juju Smith-Schuster. All 5 are pending free agents. So you are definitely going to need to figure some stuff out with the wide receiver room. You're probably going to bring back, I hope you can bring back Hollywood Brown, maybe another cheap vet, but then I would love to see somebody else get drafted as well. Hannah with the 5. For those asking how Howie does, so Howie Roseman / the Eagles signs rock stars. Philly has most cap money in void years, $390 million, $0.4 million, followed by San Francisco with 204.1. Chickens will come home to roost. Yeah, and I think when they were talking about do we got news? No. Max Crosby would love to see Aaron Rodgers in Vegas as a Raider next year. I'm fine with it. That would be kind of fun. Yeah, so I've said, hey, sometimes I would like to see the Chiefs be a bit more aggressive. But some people think I'm saying I want them to be as aggressive as the Eagles. I don't know if that's wise. Because just what you said, chickens will come home to roost eventually. Like, I guess you could just try to keep pushing everything down the road and the cap will keep rising and maybe you'll be fine. But the Chiefs are just on the kind of the opposite end of that. They don't like void years like at all. I think they have the least money in void years in the NFL. Maybe top 3 or bottom 3 least, or however you phrase that. What's a void year? I've never heard of this. Yeah, so here, I'll show you. So the technical definition of a void year, it's contract years on which the player will never play, but they are placeholders for prorated signing bonus money. It's kind of, when you like restructure somebody or convert some of their stuff from just to a signing bonus, it pushes their cap hit down the road into future years, and it takes up cap space. I think it's already been paid. But it does take up cap space down the road. Yeah, so it's a little complex. I am not a contract wizard, a contract ninja, or anything like that, but the Chiefs just don't like to do it. Because you also then have to pay more cash up front, is what happens. Yo, my dude with the 10 after the 50 said, do you think we could focus on O-line and D-line this draft and ones to come, since veteran wide receivers want QB 15 and are willing to play for less? Tom Brady won Super Bowls when he had a great O-line and lost when he didn't. Yeah, I mean, I think the good argument could be made for just really not losing sight and focusing on building in the trenches. Trenches win championships. We've seen if Mahomes has a good O-line and just solid left tackle play, he wins Super Bowls. If he has horrible left tackle play, or the O-line is suffering because you have to move a left guard to left tackle and then Caliendo is your guard, you lose a Super Bowl. And they lost it pretty ugly. So I would love to see O-line built and D-line built over everything else. D-line too, because like Chris Jones isn't getting any younger. You're going to eventually have to pay George Karlaftis along the line too, or let him go. Charles Omenihu is a free agent. I don't know if he's coming back. Like, yeah, I do think it's important to build in the trenches, but at the same time, you don't want to be so focused on the trenches per se that you reach for guys that maybe aren't the perfect scheme fit or that you're not high on. I do think there's a case for trying to find as great a talent as you can on both sides there, but Yeah, it's just a healthy balance, and I'm just glad I'm not Brett Veach or any of his draft guys, because that's the struggle. It's like, hey, this guy's high on our board, but he may not be a position of need, quote unquote, more so than if we went to get this guy. He's not as high on our board, but we could probably use this. So it's the struggle of the draft, and that's why you've got to try to answer as much as you can. Just what you said in free agency. I mean, I don't know that I've seen any like actual wide receivers just taking less money to come to the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, have you guys seen that? Who have you seen just take less money to come play for the Chiefs in the wide receiver room? They have found some good deals. Hollywood Brown was coming off of a down year. You signed him for like, what, a 1 year, $7 million deal or something like that. And maybe because he missed all of last season, almost all of last season, you could bring him back on something similar. But I don't know if these players, I mean, that maybe, like in my head, it probably plays a role. Like, would you rather go to the Raiders and lose and not make the playoffs, or go play for the Chiefs and maybe compete for a Super Bowl? Like, they would probably say Chiefs. But if the Raiders, I'm just giving out examples here, I could say another team, just any team that maybe has a quarterback on a rookie deal or more cap space, they say, hey, we got a nice stadium, we got nice amenities, we got some more money we're willing to pay you. I mean, I don't know. Some of them might say, nah, I'm going to turn down the money and go sign for cheaper with the Chiefs. But I feel like more times than not, players know how short their life cycle is in the NFL, and they're just going to go and try to make as much money as humanly possible. Chiefs Tomahawk Talk. I kind of like that name. What's up? I get the temptation to go with left tackle with the first pick. But our D-line is in great need and is being overshadowed. Go DT or trade back for more picks. Yeah, I've seen a couple people actually say, hey, just trade back and get a few more picks. I guess I don't hate it. Definitely don't force a left tackle in the first round if you're not high on anybody there. And we'll see. They might address that first in free agency. And if they go get somebody like, let's just say Dan Moore Jr., okay, they sign him to a 3-year deal, $12-ish million a year. Well, they don't have to get a tackle early. You just don't have to do it. So there's no need to try to force a reach there. You could do what you said, Tomahawk. You could get somebody along the interior of the D-line or an edge rusher. I mean, we've talked about some guys. I just saw a draft. I just saw a mock draft where a guy that I wouldn't think would get to the Chiefs almost did. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Dude, I would love to pair him next to Chris Jones. He went 30 to the Bills. I think it was the Bills. 29-30 to the Bills. In a recent mock draft I saw from NFL.com, I think it was Lance Zierlein. Yeah, look. Look. If you could get somebody like, I mean, you'd have to jump the Bills. But if you could get somebody like that, I would take it. I would definitely take it. That would be incredible. Especially if you address the offensive tackle need in free agency. Yeah, 1,000%. Whoa, we got a couple big ones here. Justin with the 10. I heard Howie's name. What's up, Justin? Yeah, resident Eagles fan in here. Another reason why Howie also does this is the trust he and Lurie have. Lurie? That's the owner, right? Because of that, when it's time to pay that money, Lurie gives Howie the time versus other teams firing GMs. Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are a very healthy team, well-ran organization. We've said that. I mean, I've said that on this channel for a while before they won the Super Bowl or anything like that. And for the record, since about week 10 on my second channel, Cole Breaks the Huddle, about week 10, week 12, I said, hey, I think it's the Eagles in the Super Bowl. It was either the Eagles or the Lions, and the Lions just got decimated by injuries. Even if they would have somehow beat the Commanders in the divisional, I think it was in the divisional, they would have lost in the AFC or the NFC Championship to the Eagles, in my opinion. Yeah, very well-ran team, and Howie's done a great job. He has done a great job. Buck and Bob with the 50 bomb. Another 50 bomb in this stream. Let's go. He said, thank you so much for the content. Dude, I appreciate you. He said, I predicted Veach would franchise tag Trey Smith 2 weeks before they did. But I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd be right. It's got to be to sign long-term because letting him go might have gotten a third-round compensatory pick. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit more in depth earlier on because, like, I guess you could tag and trade him like you did with L'Jarius Sneed. You could get something out of him, but it seems like per all reports we are seeing, Diana Rossini, Nate Taylor, Matt Derrick, the vibe or the feel, the situation seems like it is pointing in the direction, leaning in the direction that a long-term deal is going to get done here sooner rather than later, which is awesome. I didn't think they would franchise tag Trey Smith. I was a little surprised by that, but the mindset for some people is, hey, if you've got a guy that's a potential blue chip player or a top player at his position, don't let those people out of the building. Build around them. They're your future. And I understand you can't do that with everybody, but like there's certain people you don't want to let walk out of that building. Trent McDuffie is one of them. Chris Jones was obviously one of them. Trey Smith, one of the best guards in football, and he was a 6th-round pick. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm sure the Chiefs are looking years ahead into the future. Jawan Taylor's going to be gone. Joe Tooney's on the tail end of his career. Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey will be the core of that offensive line for years to come. 5+ years if everything works out right. Past their contracts even. You'd have to renew it, but yeah, I hope they get a long-term deal done with Trey Smith sooner rather than later. Dub Freak with the 20. Hey, Cole. What up, man? Hope you and the fam are doing good. You know what? We are doing pretty good. Yeah, both kids are great. Danny's doing well. Thank you, man. I appreciate you asking. They're kind of glad it's the off season. Football season is fine and we have a lot of fun, but I do work 6 days a week during the football season, and it's down to 5 in the off season. So Saturday, Sunday with the family, they've been really enjoying that, and I have too. It's bittersweet because I love football, but I do love spending the extra time with the family, and I'm trying to get it to where next football season, maybe I work like a half day or a short day on Friday or something, just so I can have my weekends be like a little bit longer. But overall, doing great. He said, Dub Freak said, I feel like for this draft, it would be beneficial to trade back to get more picks to fill more gaps. Then next year, go super aggressive for a star top 15. Yeah, that's another thing about Veach and company. Like they're looking ahead. So they're looking at this draft class. They're looking at some of the prospects in next year's draft class. And I've heard a lot of people say there's not a lot of difference in some of these picks from pick 30 to pick 70 as far as like talent level goes. A lot of similar, like your all-stars are all going early, most likely. Unless the Chiefs are super high on somebody that falls, they want to go up and get him like they did with Trent McDuffie. They did that. They also had some extra picks, right, from the Tyreek Hill trade. The argument is there to trade back is, hey, you're going to get value. There's a lot of good players in this draft in those rounds. Round 2, round 3, trade back, recoup assets, and get more picks. But the thing is, it takes 2 to tango, right? So with Felix Anudike-Uzomah in the 2023 NFL draft, they tried to trade up to get somebody. They couldn't get a trade partner. They then tried to trade out of round 1 back into like early round 2, maybe late 30s. I don't know exactly where, but they couldn't get close enough to where they wanted in round 2, so they just ended up staying put. So it does take 2 to tango for sure. But you know, if the Chiefs, like let's say some of these guys we've been talking about fell or got drafted early. Josh Simmons has been gone. Luther Burden's gone. Josh Connerly Jr. in Lance Zierlein's mock that everybody's saying the Chiefs are taking at 31. He went at 24. Kenneth Grant went at 22. James Pierce Jr. went at 19. Like, let's just say like a lot of these guys that they're high on potentially, they're gone. Like, I have to research Scourton. Like, I don't know much about him, to be honest. But, like, if the Chiefs want to trade back, I'm fine with it. I would be, for sure. Just make me wide receiver. F it, said King Zach. Let's go, dude, with the 2-bomb. Brenda with the 5. I think we need defensive linemen bad. I think all we have under contract. Let's see. Under contract on the team. I mean, I could just pull up the Chiefs roster and we could probably just look at that a little bit easier than trying to guess who is not being listed on there. but it's not a lot. Yeah, I think Malik Herring is a restricted free agent, perhaps. So yeah, George Karlaftis is under contract. Free agent, free agent, free agent, free agent. So that's Turk Wharton, Derek Nottie, Mike Pennell. Mike Dana's on the roster. He signed a 2-year deal. So you got Dana, you got Karlaftis, you got FAU. And that's really it for the D-line. So the interior is kind of like, well, if you don't bring back Turk Wharton, you don't have a lot. Now, if I pull up their full, like if I go Chiefs roster, there's probably more like depth piece guys. So I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, and I don't want to come off as like disrespectful. Yeah, Mike Dana's under contract. George Karlaftis, Amenahu's a free agent. I think Malik is a restricted free agent, and what that means is you can tender him, but you don't have to. Turk Wharton's a free agent. Uche, free agent. Yeah. What else do they have on here? DT. Yeah, I mean, defensive tackle's really light. Especially if you don't bring back Turk Wharton. And I saw a report from Jordan Schultz recently that he's going to garner a lot of interest in free agency. If that's the case, and he signs a pretty decent deal somewhere, like I'm super happy for him. Like, go get it. You've already won your rings. You've contributed. Love that. But yeah, that would be a tough loss for the Kansas City Chiefs because Turk Wharton had a really good year last year for the Chiefs. What do you want, Case? You see her pause? What do you want, huh? You need to go lay down. Yeah, you do. Casey with the 10. Speaking of Casey, that's insane. Casey with the 10 said, need more speed now. Watch Super Bowl again, being as non-biased as possible. And it was obvious all over team speed really lacks. Get younger, get faster. Let's freaking go. I'm trying to figure out where exactly you mean. If maybe you just mean all the way around the roster. Maybe you mean all the way around the roster because they have some speed in some places. But yeah, I would never turn down more speed. That's for sure. I would never turn that down. Thank you so much for the 10 bomb, man. I have not watched Super Bowl 59 again. I watched it the day after. And then I watched some of the coaches' film, and I haven't watched it since. But I watched a couple of re-sign Uche. Let's go, Ethan. I watched a couple of YouTube videos of like film guys kind of breaking down some of what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl to take away Mahomes' first read and other stuff like that. Somebody said, "What's your second channel?" It's Cole Breaks the Huddle. Would exclamation point CBTH do it? You've watched the Super Bowl 4 times since? God bless. 4 times? I don't know about all that. Bob and Buck and Bob with the 2. Weird question. Are your Monday nights free? I mean, it just depends on what time. The only evening I'm really working because I'm trying to spend it with fam and my wife when I'm not is Tuesday nights. So in theory, Monday night is potentially free depending on the day. I am typically working on like long form videos to try to drop and for the channel and then for the second channel. But yeah, some Mondays are definitely free. Yeah, somebody said 4 times glutton for punishment. 100%. 4 times is insane. What do you think about... Yeah, Sports 4, I need more context than that. What are you asking about? Oh, you're talking defensive backs? I haven't gotten there yet. I have not gotten there yet. I'm into O-line, D-line in the first couple of rounds, and then running backs right now. It's as far as I've gotten. Flip with the 10. Out of all 5 of the O-line positions, right guard is the least important position for a right-handed QB, especially for a evasive scrambler QB like Mahomes. So my personal opinion, says Flip, I did not like the tag. An average right guard is good enough. I mean, what if Trey Smith is left guard after Joe Thuney? I don't know. Could be, couldn't be. I feel like he probably played. Let me look up his college stats. Did he primarily play right guard in college? Talking about Trey Smith. PFF would have it. I'm not sure. But for whatever reason, the Chiefs are prioritizing Trey Smith. They think he's worth not letting out the building and wanting to keep him around. So to some extent, that's why I didn't think they would tag him. Like, I thought they were maybe going to free up that money instead to backfill that with maybe Kingsley or some of the, like, Hunter Norzad, CJ Hansen. He's a tackle, but you had a couple of potential guys in there, right? And then maybe the draft. But for whatever reason, they didn't do that. And I thought they wouldn't potentially do that with Trey Smith to go get a left tackle. Well, they must not be super high on the free agency class. The problem is when free agents hit, they're either okay at their position, old, or coming off of injury. Not always. Sometimes it's a money issue with other teams. Like, the team wants to keep them, but they can't afford them. But yeah, so that is a problem for sure. And they're just saying, hey, we value Trey Smith and we want to keep him around for years to come. And that's, again, if Jawan Taylor moves on and Joe Thuney's done after a couple of years and Trey Smith is your guy of the future, whether it's right guard or left guard, I mean, you really want the best 5 out there at all times, and he definitely elevates the room. Buck and Bob with the 5, sending you an email about a possible collab downtown. Sorry to say it here, but might go to spam, so I wanted to make sure you saw it. Oh, heck yeah. Cole at hbtchiefs.com would be my email. Cole at hbtchiefs.com, man. Yeah, thanks for all the dono bombs and all the kind words. Patrick Mahomes is a big fan of Trey Smith. There's been articles he talks about loving watching tape of him pancaking people. Well, here's another thing, Hannah. Some people are saying, hey, if you're going to keep Trey Smith around, who really excels in the run blocking aspect of things, get a running back, please, for the love of God, and let's start running the ball. Will they ever do that more than passing? Probably not. But could it also mean a running back is coming? Please, I'm for it. I am here for that. You earn it, brother. Well, that means a lot, man. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, the only other tag, only 2 people were. Dude, you guys got to see this tweet. I'm sorry to say, dude, but you need to see this. Look at this tweet from Adam Schefter. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right, this is crazy. I'm going to pull it over here so I can screen share it, and I want to read it. Listen to this. Oh, wait. He edited the post. Okay. Look at this. Only 2 players, T. Higgins and Trey Smith, were tagged this year. The fewest number of players tagged since 1994, when Eric Green and Henry Thomas were tagged. There were 8 players given the franchise tag last year. So 2 this year, 8 last year. And there have been at least 6 players tagged in each year going back to 2019. In the previous 5 years, the average number of players given the franchise tag was 9.2. Casey, what are you doing, girl? This dog's like jumping up on me. Look at this. What are you doing? Anyway, I say all that to say that's insane. That's a wild stat about the franchise tag. Yeah, only T. Higgins and Trey Smith were tagged. That's it. They mentioned how Sua Mataia can play guard. Yeah, so Kingsley is, for all intents and purposes, being viewed as a guard for the Chiefs by their staff. He was warming up in Super Bowl 59 to potentially replace Mike Caliendo. I think he played guard. Guys, did Kingsley play guard week 18 against the Denver Broncos? I'm pretty sure he did. So you have that. Then Andy Reid basically said about Andy Heck, the O-line coach, that he likes him potentially at guard. So yeah, you've got a future there. The guard spot with Kingsley as well, which is another reason why I was like, well, maybe that is why you let Trey Smith walk, because he's going to reset the guard market, which It looks like that's what the Chiefs are going to do with him, reset the guard market. $23 million APY is what the conversations are, at least being had with Trey Smith. I've heard from 2 different people that that's about where they're looking to get a deal done as far as an average per year standpoint goes with Trey Smith. That's resetting the guard market because Landon Dickerson is making $21 million a year. Let's see. The most important thing this offseason is keeping the team together. We don't need all the free agents. We just need to keep the dynasty together. Would you want to see the return, or who would you want to see the return of the people left? Yeah. So I do think you should bring back some people if you can make it work. Like, especially if they played well and they worked in the system. And another thing too is when you're looking at rebuilding your team for the next season, you're also looking at free agency and who's available. Well, if you're like, well, let me just throw out a random player. Let me throw out, I'm just trying to think of a free agent that, like, Hollywood Brown is like a no-brainer to me because he fits in the system. You know he's going to work. He was injured most of the year, but it was a fluke injury. His stock didn't really rise, but if you like look at free agency, who's really out there that you're like, oh, like the Chiefs have to go get that guy no matter what as a wide receiver, especially when you're looking at it for the value's sake. Who? DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, okay, he's 33. That's fine, I guess, but look at some of the top guys. T. Higgins, he got tagged. Chris Godwin, he's a free agent. He's 30-ish, right? Coming off of that ankle dislocation. Diggs, 30, coming off of an ACL. I'm just going off the top of my head for some of the big guys. So you have to look at the market. And that's why sometimes it's like, well, we should just bring back that guy because we know what he can contribute. He had a good year and he's not going to break the bank. So yeah, I mean, I do think you want to try to bring key pieces back. Now, Nick Bolton, he might make top 5, top 3 linebacker money, and the Chiefs just aren't. They love him. He was a huge part of the defense. They would love to have him back, but maybe they're just like, man, I don't think we can pay that. We're gonna roll with Drew Tranquill for half the price. Last year of his deal as middle linebacker, Leo Chanel will take a step up, and we'll draft a linebacker. Or maybe you bring back Willie Gay Jr. to add him into the rotation on a like a vet min deal. So yeah, I do think there is an aspect of like you want to try to keep key pieces, but then like for Justin Reed, if he really doesn't come back, they must be high enough on Jaden Hicks, Brian Cook, Shamari Connor. Like that's why you drafted Jaden Hicks in the 4th round. So yeah, also trades. I see some people in the comments of the chat talking about trades. Yeah, trades are a possibility too. So it's not just in free agency. Apparently the Chiefs are monitoring the DK Metcalf situation that I don't really know is actually a situation because the Seattle Seahawks are reportedly either going to get rid of Tyler Lockett to save $17 million in cap space, or they are going to make him eat a bunch of money because his cap hit is high and he's 33 years old. I don't really know if the Seahawks would want to get rid of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Yeah, you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, but like both of those guys? So yeah, the Chiefs are probably like, hey, are you willing to trade anybody? Like, we like DK a lot. He's on the last year of his deal. What could that look like? You still have to extend the guy $25 million a year or something insane and give up maybe a third for DK. Yeah, trades, you can't roll trades out either. But draft capital gets sparse. You need your draft picks too. Willie Gay was a 43 PFF grade last year. Yeah, some of it was he was injured. Some of it's the Saints scheme. Here's the thing. If the Chiefs, I'm just saying, like, Willie Gay was just a name I threw out there when I'm looking at the linebacker room, right? If they wanted Willie Gay back, they could have signed him back for the deal that the Saints got him. KC Sports Network posted to X that the Chiefs weren't going to re-sign Justin Reed, and Justin Reed replied saying, well, that's news. I did see that. Yeah. I did see that. He's like, well, that's news to me. Yep, you always have to draft to replace the pieces. Yeah, it's just part of it. You know, it's unfortunate, but it is part of it. Trey Smith played 655 pass blocking snaps and allowed 0 sacks. He started 67 out of 68 games. In my honest opinion, getting Pat better O-line protection needs to include Trey. I mean, hey, I'm not arguing with you, because if they can get a long-term deal done, I'm fine with Trey Smith staying around, especially if the cap hits aren't going to start to get heavier for a couple of years and another couple of O-linemen are gone by then, and maybe you've got rookies that you can develop. Like, think about it. They drafted Creed and Trey after Super Bowl 55. If you can draft a couple guys that are pretty talented and they develop, like, that's great. You don't have to always pay everybody along the line, right? But yeah, you need to get the best guardians for Patrick Mahomes. It's crucial. The best 5 out there. I don't care if you got to pay some of them. For this year, next year, you might have to pay most of your O-line. It's the problem with drafting late in the rounds. When's the last time the Chiefs got a round 1 offensive tackle that made a real impact? Let me know in the chat who it was. I know who it is, but I want to see who you guys think it is. The last time the Chiefs drafted a tackle in round 1 that made a real impact, who was it? It's offseason. Even the insiders are talking out of their ears. Exactly. No, I knew you weren't talking to me, Hannah, when you said not you, Cole, but others in chat. I just like to read the chat or the message and then respond to it. Yeah, I see the comments. Yeah, Eric Fisher. Eric Fisher was drafted 1st overall in 2013, started out as the right tackle, did not even play well. And eventually, after that, went to left tackle, late bloomer. That was the 1st overall pick after the Chiefs went 2-14. That's the last time the Chiefs have been able to draft a tackle in round 1 that actually made an impact. That's why you're having to pay some of these guys, because you're not able to get the elite talent that goes early in the draft. You can't get Joe Alt. He's gone. He's with the Chargers because they won 5 games the year before last or whatever it ended up being. So it's definitely a problem. And that's why I think you have to, like, when you look on the outside, you're like, dude, why do the Chiefs have to pay so much for their O-line? Well, that's part of the problem. You're not able to get these elite tackle talents. And it's not always that. Like, you need to develop too. There's guys that you can draft in the 2nd round. I mean, Creed Humphrey was a 2nd round pick, wasn't he? Trey Smith was a 6th. He fell because of health issues. But there are guys you can draft outside of round 1 that you can develop. It's a bit more rare that they turn into like an elite player, but it does happen. There's plenty of 1st round picks that don't pan out. But it is a bit of an issue, and why the Chiefs are having to pay some of these guys. Some of that also, I think, probably needs to fall on the shoulders of the coaching staff. Andy Heck, whoever else is developing, whoever their assistant O-line coaches are, like, you need to be able to draw the best out of your players. Now you drafted and developed Creed Humphrey. He's the best center in football. Trey Smith, top guard in football. Do it again. Do it again this year with somebody. Maybe Kingsley can develop and do a better player, even if it's not a tackle. Lane Johnson went on Eric Fisher's draft. Holy smokes. Yeah, Lane Johnson is a veteran's veteran. Zubin was saying, yeah, it's kind of a dive into this comment, but I could talk about it for a second. He said, wait a second. We had Tooney, Creed, Trey, top O-line players in the NFL with a serviceable right tackle, and got absolutely owned by a 4-man pass rush in the Super Bowl. 1 non-elite O-line, and we fell to pieces. Well, I mean, obviously it's a little bit deeper than that, because you had to take Joe Tooney, who was an elite guard, and put him at tackle. He's not a tackle. He's not. He's a serviceable left tackle. Above average at times. If you can get the ball out quickly. The Eagles did all they could to take away Mahomes' first read. It wasn't just one Yeah, like if you just look on the outside with no context, it was one non-elite O lineman and the Chiefs fell to pieces. But that left side got worked. Joe Thuney's not a tackle. Mike Caliendo is a okay guard. You took a elite left guard, put him at tackle where he's okay, above okay sometimes, and then you put in his place a below average to average guard. That left side got worked. Now, so did Jawan Taylor a couple times. Creed and Trey were the best. But yeah, it wasn't always on the O-line, but a lot of it was. Some of it was on Mahomes. He started seeing ghosts because he got hit so many times. But it wasn't just like, here's the thing. If Mahomes has an okay line and players playing where they're supposed to be playing, which the thing is, like, injuries just happen in the NFL, guys. Like, this isn't a surprise. Teams move linemen around like that, but it's not always your best five out there when these injuries hit. When Mahomes has had a line that'll hold up, he can throw to MVS, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Marcus Kemp and win the AFC Championship game, which he literally did a couple years ago against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, Eagles had a great game plan. They really did. Talented guys along the line. Their secondary is great. Bond with a pick. Like, he's a great linebacker. Yeah, they're great all over the place there. Yeah, Stylo said it. Orlando Brown's situation kind of hurt. Think they were wanting him long term. Yeah. When you look at how much they gave up for Orlando Brown Jr. to trade and go get him, oh yeah. You absolutely had plans to have him be your your left tackle for a long time. I mean, think about it. They just had, like, not that long before, they had Eric Fisher for how many years? Eric Fisher played for the Chiefs from 2013 to 2020. That's like 7-8 years. So you're thinking, oh, we'll go get Orlando Brown Jr. and do the same. Orlando Brown Jr., he's 28 years old. He's only 28. So yeah, he was definitely the plan, and it didn't work out. They've been scrambling ever since. 1 year Band-Aid, 1 year Band-Aid, 1 year Band-Aid. Now, I think they were in on some other potential people in later years. It just didn't work out for trades and stuff. But yeah, Donovan Smith. Who else? Pick your poison. They've been through like 5 or 6 tackles over the past few years. Left tackles in particular. Is Bolton coming back? Maybe. We'll see. Allie said he's only 28. Yeah. Well, he turns 29 in May. So in 2 months, he'll be 29. Hannah said, has Orlando been injured a lot? I mean, when he went to the Bengals, he was injured last year. He played, I mean, you can see here, he was injured last year, but like, whoa, can you go down? He played 17 games in 2023 for the Bengals. He played 11 games last year. So, yeah, this website is not working at all. But yeah, he was injured last year, I think, with like a hamstring injury or something. He certainly moved like he's older. And look, I get it. Some people weren't super high on Orlando Brown Jr. They didn't really think that the Chiefs should pay all that he was wanting. And apparently the Chiefs didn't either. That's why they let him walk. They did not tag him a second time. They tagged him. He played on the tag. The Chiefs didn't let him walk. So we don't need to like sit here and stay on the Orlando Brown situation. I'm just saying sometimes it doesn't work out. You make moves, you try to make it happen, and it doesn't. You've got to pivot and adjust. Which he said, love the way you talk to your cursor and mouse. Yeah, dude. I was like, this is not working. There's 320 people in here watching me struggle on this website. I was like, come on. Come on. Third best QB in upcoming draft? Third best? I mean, thankfully this is a Kansas City Chiefs problem, as I do not care about quarterbacks anymore in the draft. I mean, obviously we know about the top guys. We look into them. I mean, would it be Jackson Dart? It's not Quinn Ewers, is it? I mean, because we know Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are 1 and 2, most likely. Jackson Dart easily. It's not a great QB class, I'll tell you that. Jalen Milroe. I mean, he's up there. It is a weak class. There's a quarterback out of where is this? Oh, Houston. His name's Donovan Smith. Hey man, the Chiefs need Donovan Smith to return. K Wright, what's up, dude? Thanks for the 5. Tomorrow at 6 a.m. is my wife's induction date. We will be having our second daughter. I am beyond thrilled. Dude, let's go. Where's the applause button? Hey, man, pray for safe mama, baby, delivery, sane dad, all of it. Well, maybe it's too late for you to be sane or something, but I got a funny story for you guys. When we had our second kid, Olivia, she's 5 now. I was like, it was a weekend. I text my wife. Like, she was due soon, but I didn't know she was going to the hospital that night. I stayed up till 4 a.m. playing Call of Duty. I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to stay up like one more late night. I'm just going to play Call of Duty as late as I can. I'll sleep in till like 8 or 9 and just rough it the next day. And it'll be the last day in a long time, because it was the weekend, that I'm going to be able to play video games, because we're about to have a baby. I'm not going to be staying up and doing that. I'm going to be helping you with the baby. I go to bed at like 4, 5 o'clock, somewhere around there. And my wife wakes me up 30 minutes, 45 minutes later. And I had to go to the hospital and take her, and she delivered the baby. I was in a dream-like state, like Aaron Rodgers on a darkness retreat, walking around. 45 minutes of sleep, dude. It was the last time I've ever stayed up that late, other than the NFL draft to cover content. Yo, what's up, Gary? Good to see you in here. You want to draft Travis Hunter? The Chiefs are never getting there, but that would be fun. I really hope we can re-sign Justin Reed, said Jeff. Yeah, I mean, that's a good problem to have, because you have Jaden Hicks, Shamari Connor, Brian Cook. Like, you've got some young safeties. But Justin Smith. Why am I saying that? Justin Reed was a great fit and a great instinctual player back there in the secondary. Wasn't perfect, but fit the scheme really well. Allie said, Cole just wanted to play video games late at night. One more night. That was it. Just want to play Call of Duty. That was a crazy one. That's a funny story to tell. Like, it wasn't funny in the moment. Daniel Jones, backup QB? I mean, he could be, if it's not Wentz. Ira said, how do you feel about Luther Burden III if he falls? Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten like too deep in my wide receiver study, just because I don't know that the Chiefs are going to take one early. So I'm trying to go in order of like how I think the Chiefs are going to draft, potentially based out of needs. And again, you don't want to draft out of need per se, but you need D-line help. I looked at the tackles. We're looking at running backs now. And I don't think they're going to take a running back early, but that's a definite position of need. But yeah, he's out of MU. A lot of people are high on him. I can't tell sometimes with Chiefs Twitter if they're high on somebody because they're MU fans or a KU fan or a K-State fan, depending on who it is, whether it's Devin Neal. Like, it doesn't matter who. But I'm like, do you want the Chiefs to take this guy because you have some bias because that's your college team? And I'm not saying that's what's going on with Luther Burden, because I've seen some Chiefs fans say, well, I'm not an MU fan, but if he falls to 31, which recent mocks are having him out of the first round, take that guy. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be opposed. I'm going to dig more into my study on the wide receivers, but if there's a wide receiver that the Chiefs love, that's at pick 31, and let's say like the defensive tackle class is so deep, they're like, yeah, we'll get a DT round 2, because there's 4 guys we still like that are available, and we think that somebody's going to be there. They get somebody like that. Luther Burden, round 1. I mean, dude, if you keep that wide receiver room young, fresh, and growing, and getting more weapons from Mahomes, Travis Kelce's not going to be here forever. He's been able to alleviate a lot of subpar wide receiver play over the years because he's everything to Mahomes from a production standpoint, trust factor, third down guy, red zone. I mean, now you've got some guys. You've got Rice, you've got Worthy, but if you get another, fine with it. Especially if it's like, hey, there's no offensive lineman here that we really feel comfortable with taking. Linebackers, all the elite guys are gone, meaning like we think we can get a good guy in like the second, third round. Remember, they got Leo Chanel in the third round. I think, wasn't Nick Bolton a second round guy? Yeah, if they're pretty high on a guy and he's available, go take him. I don't care if it's a wide receiver, take him. If we trade Trey Smith, how much do you think we could get for him? That's a good question. Maybe a second rounder. I don't think you're going to get a first. What do you guys think you could get for Trey Smith in a trade? Potentially. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. It looks like they're going to sign him to a long-term deal. K Wright with the 2. When Kelce retires, I think Noah Gray will thrive. Hey, they extended him. They want to keep him around. We'll see about Jared Wiley as well, but give Noah Gray more opportunities. I like it a lot. Flip with the 5. Colon HBTC fam. Would y'all trade Rashee Rice for Brock Bowers from the Raiders? I mean, I don't like that question because I like both of them a lot. I think my answer is no. However, if the Chiefs had the ability to somehow get Brock Bowers, that would be an incredible thing for Patrick Mahomes. I say we just keep Rice. I'll just say that. Like I like Rice a lot. Your story kind of sounds like your basketball coach, your old basketball coach walking around. Oh man. No wrong answer. Both great players. True. Both on rookie deals. I'd have to say no, but really great question. That's a tough one. They would both do great things. I'll just stick with Rice. You know he's a contributor. Bowers is basically a receiver, can't block, keep Rice. Okay, there you go. Fair enough. Chat Smooth. What's up, Smooth? See, that's Smooth. Smooth. There you go. What up? He said, would you consider trading up for Kelvin Banks Jr.? I mean, yeah, if he doesn't fall, or if he falls, the problem is he's going early a lot. Like at least in the most recent mock draft here from Lance Zerline, his mock draft 2.0 that I think came out today. No, it came out yesterday afternoon. He went 15 or 16. Kelvin Banks Jr. went pick 16. And they traded up with the Arizona Cardinals to get him. The Texans are officially in win now mode as they trade up to grab a player who can improve protection at guard in year 1 before eventually bouncing out to take over a tackle spot. Yeah, if he fell, I'm down. I'm sure you guys would be too. That's what I'm saying. Like, if a true round 1 graded player falls and the Chiefs want to move up a little bit to get him, I'm with it. But it's got to be within range. Going up for the Chiefs to go up from 31 to 16, I mean, how much would you have to give up for that? It would be a lot. Be quite a bit. You think Kelvin should go like 10 to 12? But okay. Yeah, I mean, I've seen other mocks. This is just one mock draft. I mean, I've seen a bunch of them, and I've seen him go around 10 before. Hannah said, Cole, to answer Trey Smith trade question, closest comp Jaguars tagged Yannick Ngakoue in 2020 and then traded him for a second rounder and conditional 5th rounder to the Vikings after tagging him. That sounds like, I feel like a second for Trey Smith. The thing is, like, I was like half tempted for a second. It's like, ooh, a second round pick. The thing is with that, a draft pick is like a lottery. It's like, he could be the guy you get. Let's say you did trade Trey Smith away second round pick you got, and you use that second round pick literally for a guard. Some would argue, well, it's a guard. It's one of the least important positions along the O-line. It's still a lottery ticket. You don't know if you're going to win with that guy. You don't know if he's going to be a hit. Trey Smith, you know just what Hannah said earlier. He's top 3, top 5-ish at his position, healthy, durable, plays almost every single snap, doesn't give up pressures, doesn't give up sacks. You can't do much better. You really can't. So I think that's the problem with trying to trade somebody like that. Hey, you never know. Maybe we'll see a trade announcement soon and we'll all be shocked. I mean, I remember being on stream or in videos and saying, the Chiefs will not be trading Tyreek Hill. An extension is coming. He's not getting traded. If they trade away Tyreek Hill, anybody is probably on the table to get traded. I think they really do want to stay. Want Trey Smith to stay. But you never really know until they get that written, they get that signature from Trey Smith. Boom. Done. Marcus with a 2. My daughter's birthday is the 9th. And you got your pay raise. Dude, let's go. I was hoping you got it. Ooh, Smooth said, would you consider cornerback a position of need? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Especially if you're looking ahead, because the Fab Five, all those defensive backs that have been playing in the secondary for years are all on their last year, except for McDuffie, who you could pick up his 5th-year option, and hopefully they reach an extension with him anyway. But Trent McDuffie, you got Brian Cook. Who else? Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, and Najee Johnson. All 5 of those guys are on the last year of their deal. So, yeah, I would. And then you traded away L'Jarius Sneed. Jalen Watson is great. He's fine. But he's on the last year of his deal. Obviously, McDuffie's great. You need a slot corner, in my opinion. If you want to get help at anything, how about a slot corner? Unless you draft a dog. This is an interesting situation. What if the Chiefs got a starting corner in round 1 that they were high on? I don't know who it would be. I haven't even gotten there. It allowed Trent McDuffie to kick back inside, and there's your answer for now. Because he was first team All-Pro in the slot. Jalen Watson, whoever you draft in the first round, McDuffie in the slot. I don't know. Sounds cool. They probably need D linemen over that, but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of situations and scenarios that could play out. They have had a great history of drafting defensive backs later in these rounds and getting somebody and developing them. So yeah, I think corner is a need in some regard. Speedy with the 10. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. It's a few nice tackles that people are sleeping on, like Jalen Rivers. Okay, let me see. Like Jalen Rivers out of Miami, Brandon Crenshaw, Dixon out of Florida, Jack Nelson from Wisconsin, all slept on gyms. Well, you know what? I'm going to write down all those names for my notes, and maybe I'll look into them. They must be like later round guys, right? Like if I go to NFL Draft Buzz and just like look at the position rankings and go to tackles, like where are these guys? Who are some of these guys? Crenshaw? Yeah, like they're not even on page 1. Which that's why you're saying these are some gems. Don't sleep on the gems. Love that, Speedy. Thank you, man. I'll look into that for sure. That's the hard thing about the draft, because I don't watch college football, so I really do try my best to, to study up before the draft as much as I possibly can, at least being pretty familiar, somewhat familiar with most players or a lot of players from key positions in the first few rounds. Once we get out of round 3, I'm about to be lost. I will know running backs because I do think the Chiefs have a great chance of taking a running back later in the draft. Smooth said, I predict one edge rusher falling way farther than they should. There's always somebody, and I wouldn't even be mad if they had a great grade on somebody in the first round that was an edge. I'm fine with it. You only got Mike Dana for one more year. If they don't re-sign a Minihue, you need a body. Like FAU, we'll see how he does in year 3. George Karlaftis, he's on the last year of his deal. You could pick up his 5th-year option, but you don't know that they're going to do that. I'm going to start giving you players to look at that don't get too much attention. All right, Speedy. Yeah, I'm down. Cole agreed on cornerback needs. Jahdae Barron and Trey. Is it Amos or Amos? But I've seen Trey's name floated around a lot. Rather trade down and get fat on day 2. I'm fine with that. Sin. I would not turn that down, actually. Like in this draft, just from what I've been seeing, if they aren't super high on anybody, like if you can trade back even like 5-10 spots and get an extra pick or 2, I'm down. I'm not the best at like formula and how much value they should be getting for trading back and stuff like that. Falcon said, Cole, I'm with you on the slot corner need. Doubt they'll move Trent back inside. Yeah, that's why I was like, it's probably a bit of a pipe dream to say, hey, if they draft a cornerback early, Trent McDuffie kicks back inside. Like, what if you just tried to get a corner that was like a slot guy? Like, that's what he did. Just get a slot corner. Who are the best slot corners in the draft? All right. I don't know the answer to that, Falcon, but I'll look into it. Because I agree with you. I think slot corner is a need. If you look at a weakness on the Chiefs defense, aside from maybe the D-line not being able to get home sometimes, it's the middle of the field. Nick Bolton in coverage in the slot corner, which they used Chamari Connor for quite a bit, and they got whooped. We would have to eat some of Juwan Taylor's contract if we cut him this year. Yeah, like 11, 12 million. They're just not going to do that this year. Yeah, I would have solved a lot of coverage issues. I agree with you, Falcon. Lots of corners. Love it. Take 2. Top 3 tackle, O-line or D-line. If any are left at 31, take them. Love that. Yeah, I would. You need O-line, depth, and like, here's the thing. Let's say you take a tackle first round. I'm not saying they will. That could be your right tackle next year if Juwan's gone. Depending on what they do in free agency for left tackle. Could be your guard. It could be a guard. When Tooney's gone. You just never know. Stopping tight ends is essential. I agree, Tyler. I definitely agree. I don't know where exactly Josh Simmons will go, but should definitely be a priority. Yeah, if he falls into the 20s, try to get him. If they're happy enough or confident enough in his medicals. Lil Cortez said, do you think we can get a tackle in free agency? Ooh, get Walter Nolan in the first. Or Jahdae Barron and trade up for Mike Green in round 2? Oh, that would be... I would love all that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure they go into the draft like without a tackle option. Even if it's like DJ Humphries or something like that, you've got to have some sort of an option. There's no way they go into the season with Wanye Morris and Kingsley Suamataia fighting it out for the left tackle spot. You cannot do that again. You cannot do that again. I think Patrick Mahomes might actually scream at somebody. I'm not even talking about players. I think he might be screaming at coaches and higher-ups if they do that again. Let's go get Abdul Carter. And the Chiefs give up every single one of their draft picks to go get Abdul Carter. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Well, guys, I appreciate you. We've been live for about an hour and a half now. It has been a lot of fun. We've held about 350 people most of the stream. It's always fun to just talk Chiefs, talk draft, talk free agency. Changes are coming. You're going to see me doing a lot of breaking news live streams recently, or in the near future, with people that the Chiefs sign and stuff like that. And then we might go live sometime during the free agency frenzy, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday period. We got a video dropping tomorrow. I had a podcast with football analysis drop this evening. Got lots of content coming. A lot of content coming on the second channel as well. Cole Breaks the Huddle. Go check that out and sub if you haven't already. We're trying to drop a lot of content on that as well. Double down this year and really just go after it in all phases. Chiefs news, NFL news, and just try to cover it all to the best of our ability. There's a lot to cover, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun with y'all. Mods, thanks for holding it down. Appreciate the engaging questions. Members, donos, gifteds, all of it. Appreciate y'all more than you know. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go.
How about those Chiefs?